Black Oni. Yeah, welcome to the Black Ever Black Oni podcast. Yeah. I am your host, JBlaze06, and I am joined today by Soil, aka Soad, who will also have, there'll be other people joining in the podcast. There's some scheduling conflicts as we're all pretty attuned to in the world of being an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, first, before we even start anything, we have to do the obligatory plug in for you. You have a website that you are currently a part of, aside from the Black Oni blog and Black Oni podcast. So, do you mind telling our viewers and listeners what that is?
Yeah. It's sorry, just still like in Metal Gear mode here. It's wdwp.co. That stands for Why Do We Play? That's wdwp.co, not com, because com was taken. We might buy that later, but we'll see where we go.
That's right.
But we write a lot of different articles, whether it's reviews or topical or discussion worthy. We keep it fresh. Like most recently, it was about E3 that I wrote about. My top predictions for what's going to blow up at the end of this year. My buddy Chad wrote about another indie game called Strider.
Wait, that's not an indie game, is it?
Well, I mean, it is technically a remake of a classic. It's technically a remake of a classic game. I should get that right.
It's produced by Capcom, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But he had a lot of fun with that. And Matthew recently put up a montage of Warframe because he's a big fan like you are.
Yep.
And we actually, I think Chad posted it last night. We had our own first little mini podcast, if you will.
What?
Taken from the idea from Black Oni. It's a lot shorter. It's only like 10, 15 minutes. And we covered E3, and it was the first time all three of us sat down to get together because we have so much fun doing these. I figured, why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put that up on the site too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember you mentioned before that you're always welcome to, I guess, a guest writing from myself. So, just let me know kind of what the criteria is for what you guys are looking to do, and I'll be sure to give you guys a nice little article on your website.
Gosh, actually, if you want, it's really whatever you feel at the time. That's what we've done recently. Whatever strikes you in the moment. Like if you want to rant about Battlefield, or you want to talk about Metal Gear, or you want to talk about E3, or you want to review something or preview something. Whatever. Like you're like, I just want to write about this real quick. Like we'll take that. That's what we do.
Okay. All right. I'll have to make sure I spread some of the love over there.
We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And so, I think we can just jump right into the podcast since, it's just us two from now until everyone else jumps in or whatever. What was the most impressive thing you saw at or right after E3?
Jeez.
It's always
That's
a good
a
question,
huge
right?
question. The most impressive thing?
Yes. I'm going to go first since I know exactly
go
what
ahead,
it is.
man. There's a lot.
there was a lot that was shown off at E3 that I'm extremely excited about. I have to give it to Metal Gear Phantom Pain that demo that they showed. Oh
I haven't seen it. I don't want to know.
Oh my fucking god. OMG. What the fuck? Like, that game needs to be here now. I need to get my hands on that full game. Because after playing Ground Zeroes, I was like, alright, this is a nice taste of what I could expect. There's just way more. There's just way more.
Yeah.
I'm just like, fucking, are you serious? Like, when you eventually get to Peace Walker, you'll see something. Even, I think, Portable Ops isn't in that collection, but Peace Walker has an element that was introduced in the Metal Gear games that was really, really cool. And it sounds kind of like lame, like it's like micromanagement type of thing, but like it makes sense in context and it's actually really fun. They've expanded on that whole idea. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not going to ruin anything, but it's really fucking. And I there's still a lot we don't know about it. So there might be multiplayer integration within that system. I can't. I can't. Yes, that is the most impressive thing I saw at and or around the E3 showing. Definitely that. I would give a close second to Batman.
Which was really impressive as well.
Even though what they showed was not PS4 footage.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Which which kind of makes me say the most impressive thing I saw, even if it was really short, was Uncharted. I mean,
Yeah.
the last couple of years that we've seen them show off something, the same question everybody says, yo, is that real?
Yep.
Is that real?
Yep.
And every single time, yep.
Yep.
So I'll say for even the 30, 60 seconds we got, that was the most impressive visually on a next-gen console, excluding the PC Master Race. But that was the most impressive thing I saw, I think.
Yeah, it was I'll give a third to that. The only reason why I don't have that on the top is because like we didn't see much more outside of kind of
we
like.
did.
But all right, I want to preface this statement by saying Uncharted 3 they did downgrade the graphics from their E3 demo. So the E3 demo.
I think you could really even notice. I mean, come on.
At first, you don't notice, and then I was talking to one of my friends when he came over one day. He was like, "Did you ever notice that this game doesn't look as good as it did when we saw it at E3?" And I was just like, "Kind of." And we did a look online and saw the comparison shots. We were just like, "Oh shit, they really downgraded a lot of it." I mean, like you don't notice it at first because you're immersed in the experience, but
it's not like Watchdogs bad or
right, right. Or the upcoming the Division. We have a little thing in there about that actually, which will be interesting to talk about. But I pray that the final game will look like that.
I have faith it will, or really close, or really fucking close. Fine. It's like we have to insert that statement now. It should be really close to what we're seeing. It's ridiculous.
That should never be the case. Never. So, okay, I'll give you that though. Uncharted, the moment where he was like, his muscles were kind of conforming, and he was like kind of
just kind of twitching, like just like where the little fly was buzzing around his head and shit. Yeah. Like, oh man, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Taking the water out of his gun.
Yeah. At first, when I saw like the screen kind of go to it, I was like, all right, this is obviously just like like a live action performance or something like that. And I was just like, wait a fucking minute. Wait a fucking minute. People, if you haven't checked it out yet, please do that. It looks that good. So yeah, we'll jump into the next part of the podcast, which is what are you playing? And before we started recording, we talked a little bit about that. So I would love for you to go first.
All right. Well, before I get to that, I feel like I should have said this in other previous podcasts because these are like 2 or 3 weeks at a time, right?
Yeah.
On average. Every single podcast, if I don't mention it, I need to mention these 3. It's Rock Band at least once or twice. Rocksmith, which is also amazing. NBA 2K, at least 5 or 6 games in a 2-week time span, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 I regularly rotate through, and I don't mention those games. I need to give them the credit they're due. I'm always playing those.
Yes. When I see you online, I see you on those. I'm like, yeah. Go Dave.
The other, which I recently picked up because of that trailer. I didn't see the demo. I saw the trailer. The trailer sold me. Yeah. But I picked up the Legacy Collection of Metal Gear Solid, and I'm going through them one at a time. And I start with Metal Gear Solid 1, which I played and beat in a weekend. I'm going through Metal Gear Solid 2, which I'm almost done with, although it's near the end, so it's going to be a bitch. And, gosh, I think that's it this weekend. Besides Watchdogs here and there, and Super Time Force on the Xbox One.
Yeah. Got you a review code for that. Hopefully there are way more review codes coming and review equipment. I've been trying to work with developers to see what we can do in terms of getting that stuff. And if not, then, there's always space for reviews for both you and Kevin. What are your thoughts on Metal Gear?
Oh, gosh. Well, going through the Metal Gear Solid, it's a PlayStation 1 title, the way that I'm playing it, so I didn't use either joystick. It was just the D-pad.
Oh, man, yeah.
That was crazy. Going through a game like that was nuts.
Yeah, I bet. It was way
years.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was really outdated. Just the graphics and some of the mechanics were.
Yeah.
However, it was great. I think the game still stood up today for being that old,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still a lot of fun. The story was really, really good.
Yeah.
And as soon as it was over, I was like, "Shit, I need to play the next one."
Yes. Oh my God.
Like, thankfully, I didn't have to wait, 3 or 4 years. Like, it was just there,
Yeah.
but it was awesome going through the first one. A lot of, and this is why I wanted to do it. I wanted to start at the beginning because I can already see how the second one hits on the first one in a lot of different notes,
Mm-hmm.
just from past experiences or characters they ran into, or
Yep.
just the shit that went down, or that's still going down.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it's crazy.
Yeah, well, which ending did you end up getting? Was it the one where Meryl, well, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't play Metal Gear Solid 1 from like 1996. There are two endings that you can get. One of them is non-canon and then one of them is. So, what happened at the end of your game?
um, what, the short one? Like, we drove away on a snowmobile.
Who's we?
Meryl and
Okay.
Snake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think if you give in to the torture while you're in that torture scene and you have to keep pressing like triangle and shit,
Yeah.
yeah, which was also like really cool. Like they had this torture scene. If you give in to it and tell them that you give up, Meryl dies.
What?
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So like again, there are a lot of things that are different depending on how you play the game. Like you'll notice certain things about the game after having played it a second time. I wouldn't recommend doing that right away because you got to get through the story. But like there are certain things that you pick up on. You'll see certain things within the scenes. You're like, oh shit, this actually makes so much more sense now that I like see what happens at the end. Like there's a lot of like Easter egg stuff like that Hideo has been putting in his games a lot, and I love that about his games is that there's every time you play through it again, you notice or experience something new. And so in that way, that was a whole different like ending. So like if Meryl dies and you actually end up meeting up with Otacon at the end, if you give in to the torture, and then you and Otacon right away as opposed, and like she dies and he's just like no, and it was like it's really fucking sad. I'm just like yeah,
I didn't give in, and I was lucky. I made it through it.
yeah,
That would have been kind of, well, I don't know. I haven't gotten the ending, but him
yeah,
driving away with Meryl sounds better than
yeah.
Otacon.
Yeah. No, it's totally a better scenario because she's first of all she's still alive, but like oh man, just some of the questions that I like Metal Gear Solid 2 where you're going through, like there's no mention of Meryl at all. At least I don't think
No.
there is. So I'm just like, oh my god, what's happening? What's going on with that? And so
Yeah, I
those
don't think her
questions,
name's come up once.
yeah,
Not yet.
yeah, and that's one of the things that really bothered me about part two. Is like they completely forgot everything that happened, or not everything, but like there were certain things that happened in part one. I was just like, what about this? But I digress. You still haven't beaten Metal Gear Solid 2 yet. What are your
Yeah, I'm
thoughts
working
on
through it.
what are your thoughts on part two?
Um, that, yeah, I mean, Ryan's kind of gay. Or stupid. Gay's the wrong term. Stupid. It's just he's just kind of like whiny and it's just like shut up. Like you're just bitching the whole game. Snake wouldn't bitch. He'd take it.
Yeah.
And the whole thing with Rosemary because I'm near the end now
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. I mean, it's still really cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the jump from 1 to 2 was crazy.
Yeah,
Just
it's
in
a huge
graphics and mechanics alone was
Yep.
kind of nuts.
Yep. The first person shooting. Yep.
Yeah, like where you can actually aim down your sights and have the laser sight and just pop someone in the back of the head. That's a lot of fun.
Yep.
But Snake's whole part of it, like the way the game opens, like you're with Snake for what? I mean, maybe an hour or two, depending on how fast you get through it. That's it.
Yep.
And then you're with this other guy and the balls on this guy to call himself Snake at first.
I know. Oh!
It's like, you're not Snake. You need to shut up.
You ain't any type of snake. You ain't liquid, gas, solid, metal. Fuck that. He
But
does.
I mean, overall, it's still pretty cool. And fighting this one boss right now, I'm pretty sure it's not the end boss, but it's still a little bit of a bitch.
What
But
boss is it?
Right here, it's I'm fighting 3 Metal Gear Rexes at a time right now,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so it's kind of nuts. But I think I got this. I got this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of things are about to go down that are going to be really crazy. I'm just going to let you know right now. And then part 3 is going to. If you liked part 1 a lot, and you
Yeah.
like the mechanics from part 2, you're gonna like part 3 a lot. Because
Okay.
a lot of the things that I love about part 1 was the atmosphere, the character development,
Yeah.
and kind of that feeling of like going through adversity, as intensely as a certain character would, and you're gonna fall in love with. I think you're gonna really love part 3, and then part 4.
Almost there.
Yeah, and
I've
then
heard a lot of good things about 3, about 3 in particular, more so even than 4, and
yeah,
I've been pushing that hard to get through it, just so I can get to 3. I really, really want to get there.
Yes.
I've never played it. I've never touched it.
Right.
We'll see.
Exactly. Yo, what up, Bauer?
Of course, like as soon as I start talking about it, it's because of this guy, Jordan, who's been egging me on to play 3. What's up?
What's up, man? Can you guys see me?
I can see you just fine.
All right,
I
good.
can see the top of your face.
Like, I'm so tired.
Good
This didn't work. This didn't work last time. So I'm glad it's actually working. What's up?
Yeah, we were actually just talking about Metal Gear.
Yeah.
He's been playing through Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2. He's on 2 right now, and I was just telling him, I was like, dude, 2 is convoluted. It's still a fun game. It's convoluted.
Convoluted isn't the word. 2 is just straight up off the wall. I still don't understand 2. And I've had like 12 years to get it, and I still just like there's some things I just accept about the Metal Gear universe, and one of them is that I'm not going to understand some of it. I'm just not. You can. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. I was saying, in part 1, how the character development and all the atmosphere was so strong. In part 2, it was just like, it was cool, and then like part 3 is just like it's going to bring you back to what made part 1 so awesome.
Oh my God, 3.
Yeah.
3.
And we just talked.
Oh my God, 3.
It's so good. And that E3 demo, he didn't see the demo for Phantom Pain.
No.
Yeah, I don't blame you, David, because you guys both know me. I'm always against like seeing stuff ahead of time, but I had 45 minutes and it was staring me at the face. 30-minute E3 gameplay demo. Like, fine. Because Hideo Kojima is really well known for showing way too much of the game in other arenas anyway. So I was like, F it, I'm just going to do it. And you wrote on my Facebook that your body is ready. And all I could think to myself was, that's great. My urethra is not. Because just watching that E3 gameplay demo was just splooge for like 30 straight minutes. It was great.
Yeah.
But I can't even imagine like what the entire game is going to be like. And we won't ruin anything for you, Davey, but it's going to be awesome. And I don't think you're going to be able to fully appreciate it until you play Peace Walker, which I'm struggling to get through right now. I'm just trying to get through the story on it. But it looks phenomenal. That was definitely my highlight, I think, of E3 by far.
That's what I said. Yep.
By far. I mean, followed very closely by the Uncharted 4 reveal, even though it wasn't actual gameplay and things like that.
It was in engine.
Yes.
I believe Naughty Dog after seeing what they did with Uncharted 2. I remember playing that at David's place for the first time, and we were not sober. But even that being considered, I mean, that was one of the most, like, when you think of a next-gen experience, I always instantly think of Uncharted 2. And after seeing what they did with that and with 3, especially if we're just talking about graphics, I have no doubt whatsoever that's what it's going to look like, which is just scary.
Yeah.
I mean, just scary how good that looked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. It's going to be really good. So.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. I can't wait. I can't wait. Like, this is a good time to be a gamer. We were actually just talking about what we've been playing. So Dave mentioned, the Metal Gear, the Legacy.
It's awesome.
Talked about Rock Band and Rocksmith and NBA 2K.
He's having issues with Rocksmith. Where he'll call me and he'll be like, dude. I'm like, what's up? Dude. And anytime David says dude twice like that, you're about to get like, some awesome experiences coming your way. And he's like talking to me about like, I just pretty much blacked out for 3 hours. I just played Rocksmith for 3 hours. And when you're playing Rocksmith, you're essentially just playing guitar, which is really, really cool. So I thought that was really cool because I don't really know anybody else that's been like rocking out on Rocksmith like that. So I think that's really cool that you're playing that, Dave, especially because it, kind of plays into like the actual instrument that you're learning and playing. And David's really good at guitar. How long have you been playing now, man? Like 6 years, 7 years?
5-6 years. I don't know. It's a
awesome.
little bit. Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, I want to start playing guitar, man.
It's
Rocksmith.
it's my
2014,
favorite.
not the other one. Don't start with the other one.
Really?
Yeah, Lisa got
their original vision was good, but its mechanics weren't sound enough. Its latency issues were kind of a bother. Just some of the songs and the way they made you learn them weren't right. And Jordan can attest to that for one or two songs.
There were a lot of songs. Lisa got that because she was interested in starting to learn it. I've been playing guitar for 12 years. And there were a number of songs in there that I knew how to play, but like it wouldn't register that I was playing them correctly because it wasn't their chords, which some of them were just flat out wrong. But I hear that the new one is actually really good about all of those things. They've remedied a lot of that, but yeah, she was trying to learn the way of the first Rocksmith, and it was just terrible. I mean, it confused even me. And like I said, I've been playing for 12 years, and I'm just kind of like, this is horrible, horrible. But valiant effort on it. But that's cool. I'm playing Final Fantasy 14. Surprise. Played that this morning for a few hours, which is sweet. And this is the first time I actually played this week. But I've been playing. I actually have been focusing on my PlayStation 3 backlog. Like made it a point to, only get I think Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and the new Diablo. Of course, those are going to be the two games I get for the rest of the year. Of course, you guys know me. I say that, and then in a month I'm gonna be like, "Oh my god, I got." And so probably, to be honest, I'll probably own another 25 games this year. But I've just been kind of focusing on that, and so I actually was able to, for the last couple of weeks in my spare time, I put down Splinter Cell Blacklist, which was such a good game. That game doesn't get enough credit for how awesome it is. And the story gets really, 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 really good, and the missions get longer and very involving. And the co-op missions with other people. I mean, I think all of us here have played that together at some point, and it's just so phenomenal for like the type of game that it wants to be. It does such a good job at everything from stealth to balls to the wall assault, which obviously doesn't net you as many points, but it's just so much fun. So it was nice to actually sit that game down. I've been playing a little bit of Terraria since it became free on PS Vita, and that game's scary how the time falls off the clock when you're playing it. I wasn't really expecting it to be so addictive, but it's really fun. It's a pretty simple game, but it's a good one. So outside of that, I actually knocked off the last episode of The Wolf Among Us, which I don't really understand why it's getting so much hate. I thought it was a really good episode into the final episode, and I also was able to take out the last episode of Walking Dead, which was long overdue. I mean, that should have been done the day it came out, but just with work and stuff, I didn't get to it.
I still haven't even gotten to it either, so I'm wondering if I should just wait until the whole thing comes out, or if I should just jump back into it.
I haven't touched it yet either.
The only problem with it is like it's such a long wait for the next one. I beat them in one sitting, and then you have to wait a few months for the next one. And it's not a bad thing. I mean, that's kind of what they want, but at the same time,
you forget stuff.
You forget stuff, and it's kind of depressing because it's so good. You want to know what happens next.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then at the same time, I tried to do that with this season. I was like, I just can't do it because I know it's there on the PlayStation Store, and I know I got the season pass, and I could wait 8 months or whatever to play them all at one time. But I don't have any self-control. that's really all it is. But yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been playing. I've been putzing around on a few other things, but that's pretty much it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff. What about you, Will? What are you playing, man? I know Warframe's up there.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to keep playing Warframe until they start making it bad, because before then I was playing The Last of Us Online a lot. Pretty much every weekend I was getting on to play Last of Us Online, and even through the weekdays sometimes I would play. But since their last update where they kind of introduced new weapons and new perks, it has become unbalanced and kind of broken because of that. And I've become so much more frustrated with the game because of that, and so I just stopped playing until they decide they want to either revert or make a playlist that's more attuned to some of the stuff that. Because one of the beautiful things about The Last of Us was it had perks, but they didn't feel like perks. They felt like just elements of the game that should kind of already be there. And like I use certain ones all the time, and so like that was how the game was for me. And so like now there are perks where it's like you are now immune to smoke bombs. So like people would just run up to you, and because of the way that the gameplay mechanics work with like aiming, oftentimes you can't aim at them faster than they're running across the screen.
Yeah.
And so they'll throw a smoke bomb in front of you, which in theory should hit both of you, but it only hits you, and they just knife you, and they just do that over and over and over and over again.
That's annoying.
And so it's a broken mechanic because of the way that the game is actually structured. If I could aim faster, and if I could move the camera to the speed in which someone else is moving, or faster than that, this would not be a problem. But it is. So aside from that little mini rant about The Last of Us, there's a bunch of other things that they did. Yeah, there's a bunch of other things that they did with the game now that really just brought me over the edge of not playing it anymore. I've been playing Warframe, of course, and I've just got a bunch of Prime parts and some Prime Warframes that are being built right now. So I'm super excited about that. I'm going to be doing a video that's kind of like a Warframe overview, like this is what Warframe is, and I've also had.
I need to watch that because I still haven't given it any more attention since the one night we played for like 45 minutes. Which, to be fair, it isn't enough time to really get a good feel of the game.
But either way, though, the game was very much not. It didn't have a lot of the things that it has now compared to when it came out. So like when we were playing it, it was missing a bunch of elements and mission structure, environments. They just weren't there.
I didn't know what the hell was going on. I just remember like running into walls and being like, I think we have to go here. And everyone's like, I don't know if you can go into that vent. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you can. And it turns out you couldn't. Yeah, that was a tough session, man. I died constantly because I just didn't know what I was doing. But it does have a really interesting concept. I forgot to mention I have been playing a whole lot of NBA 2K14 with this guy, Davey. Our series have been epic. He's won, I think, one more game than we have because every time I play him, he's one game above me, and he's still one game above me. Mm-hmm. But we've had some epic series in that. That game is one of the best sports games ever, unless you're playing the computer. If you're playing the computer, fucking give up. Just don't even put yourself through that because, well, especially in GM mode, it's not as bad in playing out mode, but you play in GM mode, and you'll be up. No joke, this happened to me last night. I was up by 15 points. Granted, I was playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, but regardless, all of a sudden my guys in the fourth quarter couldn't complete any passes. I couldn't inbound 3 times in a row. My guys would like just blow their passes on an inbound to players, and then couldn't make layups with my best players. Couldn't. It's so blatantly obvious. And then they came back and they ended up winning by 10 points. It was ridiculous, and it happens every single time I play in GM mode. But when you're playing against a human opponent, that game is like one of the best sports games ever, hands down. It's so good. And every time David and I play, we're so evenly matched. Well, it's either we're evenly matched or he beats me by like 30 points. It's one of the the other night he beat me by 23 points. Like we went in the first half, it was like tied going into halftime. And then like in the second half, he just destroyed me. I lost by like 23 or 25 points. But most of the time we go into overtime, and whoever wins usually wins by 2, 4, 5, 6. It's such a good game.
Usually pretty close. Well, you were the one that went up by like 12-0 in the first quarter yesterday.
Chris Paul.
Like, I couldn't shoot anything. It's like, and you're just hitting 3 or 4 3-pointers in a row.
Yeah, and then David comes back and takes the lead. I was like, oh man, it's just playing him in that game is awesome though. It's like 60 minutes of just being on the edge of your seat. It's so nerve-wracking from like start to finish. It's great, man. It's a pretty unique gameplay experience from a sports game perspective because you don't really typically get that with a lot of the other games out there. And I think that probably has the best graphics I've seen yet on PlayStation 4. There are times where you actually will do a double take because it looks like you're watching real basketball on television.
And it's only going to keep getting better. That's the thing because this is the first PS4.
What's crazy though is like they've modeled every single player down to like the most obscure, random like 7th string player in the NBA. Not only looks exactly like themselves, but they have all of their same ticks. Like anytime David makes a 3-pointer with Ray Allen, he does the little Ray Allen smirk that only Ray Allen does in real life. And it's just crazy. They act and they look like real people. That's so cool. You look at Madden and they're just like standing around after the play with this face. They're standing there, and you're like, yeah, well, that kind of takes you out. NBA, it's nuts. They're always doing something, and then you look at like the smallest details, like what are players doing on the bench, what are coaches doing, what are the people in the crowd doing, and it's just, so much credit to the 2K team. And it just, the more I play it, the more I get pissed off that Madden still exists exclusively, because 2K really, all it makes you think is if 2K still had their license to football, how good of a football game will we have right now? Don't even get me started on that pathetic E3 reveal for the new Madden. Like, so awful.
I didn't even look at it. I'm sorry. I feel really bad saying that because I should be looking at all aspects of gaming, but yeah.
Well, if you don't really play sports games, they aren't going to interest you as much. I mean, with basketball, golf, soccer, hockey.
I should still watch them, though. Baseball. I should still at least be knowledgeable about them. So that's kind of what my personal, self-improvement can go.
Yeah, well, that's what's nice about it is you can pretty much just say this. It's going to be a roster upgrade with a little bit more, a little bit more polish and graphical polish, and there's going to be some terrible gimmick that's going to be gone in the following year, and that's pretty much. You can say that every year, and you're like dead on. I was actually fairly surprised with the NHL reveal looked freaking awesome. It looked really, really good, but we'll have to see how it plays out. But anyway, sorry to derail the.
Don't worry about it. The other game I have had the opportunity to play was Watchdogs. I've been playing through that a little bit more.
What is it?
I'm getting the issue that I had with the car mechanics seems to either be specific cars or something that was going on with like the controller, because like certain cars that I'm using, like they feel like they're much more responsive, and like I thought in general, if they start you off with a car to be driving in, it would be a car that works pretty well in terms of its handling, but it doesn't. And so I play around with some of the other cars, and I've one of the things about Watchdogs, in order to really appreciate it, you have to take a moment sometimes to just look around and kind of see what other characters are doing in the environments and some of the building infrastructures, and just like take your time with the game, because one of the things that I found as a detriment to being an adult doing other things but also like reviewing games is that sometimes you have to go through them very quickly so that you can get to the next game and then the next game. So one of the reasons why on the channel there aren't as many reviews is because I like to take my time with each game to really find out all the nuances with that title and then determine from there what that experience is like for people if they're just playing through it. I think we just lost Jordan.
I'm still here.
Oh, you're still here. Okay, all right. And so I've been playing that, and I like it. I don't think it's as amazing as the reveal was during that E3. But it's not a bad game at all. It's just
great.
It's just one of those things where it's a victim of its own hype.
Yeah.
There was no way it was going to be able to live up to that much.
It drives me crazy how a lot of companies. I mean, I can understand like they're trying to get and there's no doubt it was a successful campaign for them with as many copies as they've sold and continue to sell. Mm-hmm. But I get frustrated sometimes because I feel like publishers, especially, hype every game like it's going to be not a revolution but an evolution of the genre, and it's just not the case. Mm-hmm. So when you get a game and you expect it to push these boundaries, like this whole idea of hacking. And information security is what I do. And so I got really interested in it and excited in it. But closer it got to release, I just thought to myself, I just kind of became apparent that it wasn't going to, at least it didn't have the feel like it was going to be what I had envisioned it to be from what they presented from past E3s. I just get frustrated with that. If I'm obviously not advocating for publishers to be like, hey, play this game that's only going to be, half as good as that other open world game or whatever. But I almost feel like it borders on false advertising a lot of the time. Like Battlefield plays 64 player games, and then like you couldn't even get onto a Conquest server for like a month. They just didn't have it available, yet they're still like posting on Facebook.
That's a whole other story.
It is.
Yeah, we don't need to go there today.
I always need to go there.
Yeah.
We're all going to get started on it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'll say this. The hacking is non-intrusive. So I think if you were looking for something that was more involved for the hacking, my experiences with it so far, most of the hacking that I have done has been either within traversal or within combat or within puzzle solving type of stuff. So it hasn't involved as much kind of like mini game stuff like hacking into infrastructures. It's been more kind of like I need to get to point A to point B, and I need to use this in order to get here and lift this, lift this thing up here so that I can go over. So it's been mainly stuff like that, which I appreciate because it doesn't break up some of the action that it's trying to go for. But I can definitely see how it can come off as kind of like a gimmicky thing where it's like, oh, you can hack, and really you're just like pressing a lever to make something go up and down. But
Right.
but it does play into kind of like listening in on other people's conversations. So like you can look around, and sometimes when someone's on their phone, you can hack their phone and like listen to what they're saying. And like
That's cool.
it's the little stuff like that that's really interesting. And like you can see people's occupations, and you can see what they're text messaging to someone else, and like someone's talking about this sexual experience they had last night or something. Like it's entertaining. It's really fun.
You can be a total creeper if you want to be.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the total thing.
It's pretty unique too, because a lot of that stuff that from what I've seen in the game, actually exists. A lot of the work I do, I look at breaches that have occurred and different things that are emerging from like a threat landscape. And one of the things now is that like people will set up a free Wi-Fi, and anyone that drives past that has like an active cell phone, they can actually get all their information as the cars drive by. So they just sit there all day and collect information as people drive by out of the air. I mean, it's digitally. It's just some of the stuff that's going on is insane. You see stuff on like 24 and stuff in like Watchdogs where you might be tempted to think that stuff's not possible, but it is, and it's happening. It's like an entire digital warfare going on. But I think the concept for that game is just so cool. It's very different, and I think at some point I'll have to sit down and at least give it a shot because I am a big fan of that kind of stuff, and it is very unique from a gameplay perspective. I really like where they're going with that.
Yeah, I would say pick it up when it's like on a discounted rate or something, because again, there's so much stuff that we have to play right now that it's hard to say you need to buy this right now, but you should definitely give it a shot at some point. I think you'd really
for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I've also been playing I played Destiny, and I have a video that already went up of kind of like my live stream session of playing that, and I also have 2 more going up. One is going to be centering on the PvP aspects of it, so the competitive play, and then one will be kind of the overall experience of Destiny. But for those of you listening to the podcast who want a preview of those 2 videos, and for you guys, of course, you don't have to spend 6 or 9 minutes listening to the damn thing. It's so much fucking fun. I cannot wait for that game.
Awesome.
The only thing that bothers me about it, of course, and I've said this before in other games, is the vehicles. But they're just really overpowered in that game. Like if someone's in a vehicle, the only way you can take them out is if 3 people are shooting at that vehicle at the same time, or if you are in a vehicle and you just happen to outgun them in that specific situation. Like there really isn't much in between when it comes to the vehicles. And like I really love that like in those larger maps you can summon your Sparrow, which is like a hover bike that you can just have, and it carries from from co-op to PvP, and you can just summon that to get to your next point, and it's fucking awesome. There's no weapons on it, so it's more about the traversal, less about shooting people. But there are vehicles scattered on the map that you shoot people and kill people. And they're fun to play in, but at the same time, like what incentive do you actually have to ever not be in the vehicle if it is able to do that much damage to people?
Yeah, you have to be careful. Developers need to be careful with vehicles because it's ruined a great many games. The one that instantly pops into my mind is SOCOM 3. The game was totally 110% ruined by vehicles because, they made big enough maps, but the vehicles were so unbalanced and they had such a limited amount of them that, if you didn't have one, you were just running around in giant open spaces getting sniped or, it just totally ruined that game. And SOCOM 2 is still, in my opinion, one of the greatest online games of all time. Phenomenal. So along with the first SOCOM. So, to be honest with you, that series was never the same after SOCOM 3 or even after SOCOM 2 because 3 was and what ruined it was vehicles in that particular entry. So they got to be careful with the developers always have to have a very specific vision from a balance perspective when they're going to put vehicles into a game because they can totally derail their entire vision if they don't do things right. But I don't think that's probably going to be an issue with Destiny. I think they probably had some idea that this was going to be some of the feedback they were getting, and I fully expect them to balance things out by the time the game releases. But I got a question for you specifically on it. Is it anything like Halo at all? Does it? Because I've seen some things from it, and it kind of gives me that feel, which I think would be awesome if PlayStation kind of had its own like game that's kind of like that.
Yes, it is like I would compare this to a combination of three things: Dark Souls, Borderlands, and Halo. Dark Souls because it has heavy atmosphere and it has a great score and it has like exploration that is like if you explore this area, there's a chance that the place you're gonna go to will fuck you up.
Yeah,
And that has happened in my alpha
Straight up.
playthrough, like straight up. Like you go through, like enemies have question marks next to their fucking bars because you don't know what level they are, and they fuck your shit up.
yeah.
Oh, and then
There goes your day.
yeah, exactly. And then Borderlands because it's like it's embracing the idea of co-op, adventuring and being with your friends and kind of going out there. And then Halo because it has a really, it's Bungie, of course, so that's what they did in the past. So it will still have a little bit of that feel of like, the weapons have heftiness and weight to them without feeling like it's overbearing. Like, it's like, Killzone, for example, like one of those things people don't like about Killzone is that it feels too heavy. Whereas this feels like you have actual weight within the world, but it doesn't feel like your aiming itself is heavy. So I like that a lot. It feels deliberate. You have every character has a jetpack, so you just leave your finger, you jump and leave your finger on X, and you'll slowly ascend more and more. And it's similar to Halo in a lot of ways, like the shotgun, for example. If you ever played Halo 2, you know that from like a medium range, 2 shots while you're pretty close will take them down, and then 1 shot to the head while you're really up close will take them down.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only Halo I cared for in the least was the second one. I love the second Halo. I played a whole lot of 16-player LANs in my college dorm my freshman year at State, and I still to this day think the first one was one of the most overrated games ever. I played it. I give it like a 7, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, Halo!" I thought
Halo.
Red Faction was much better at the time, but Halo 2, there's no denying. Halo 2 was phenomenal. Played a little of 3, didn't really get it. Never really. I mean, I'm not an Xbox guy, so I never really got into it too much. But from what I've seen of Destiny so far, I'm glad to hear that because I kind of lost a little bit of interest lately in it. So, but obviously, you're a gamer whose opinion I respect quite a bit. So that's good to hear those initial impressions, man, coming from your time with the game.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I loved about Halo 2 so much was that it was all arena based. So it was like everyone started off with the same weapon, and then you would go and find the weapons throughout the map, and then that would be kind of the level playing field. Whoever can get to that first, who could outgun each other before getting to this particular weapon will have an advantage over the other. And right now, everyone starts off with, I think, like an assault rifle, and then like your secondary weapon will be either a shotgun or whatever your class has, depending on that. But I don't like your character and the weapons that you have carry over to the multiplayer, but I don't know if the stats for those weapons are changed in PvP or if they're the same. So like if I have a level 5 shotgun versus a level 2 shotgun, if that's more powerful, I don't think that's the case. But again, I don't have statistics to definitely say that for sure. But I was wrecking face with that shotgun. I'll tell you that shit right now.
I love shotguns, dude. Shotguns in games are so awesome. Yeah,
when they're done right and done really well, it's like so satisfying.
Dude, the first time you get the super shotgun in Doom 2, it's like, or Ultimate Doom, and shit just starts liquefying, it's turning into puddles of blood.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a good shotgun in a game. Sorry, I'm just kind of like thinking back to some of those.
Reminds me of Wolfenstein because that was the last time I had a good shotgun. The new one where I had I was rocking 2 auto shotguns in each hand and just going down hallways, just lighting people up and taking heads and legs off and stuff.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Dismemberment. Yeah, that's awesome.
So we're going to move on to the latest gaming releases. Just quickly kind of overview of them. If you guys have any of these that kind of stood out to you, feel free to talk about them. So Murdered Soul Suspect.
I heard it sucked.
I heard it wasn't very good.
Best game of all time? No.
And I actually requested to get a review copy of this, and I think they were waiting for some of the reviews to come out before they sent more out, and so they were like, no.
They don't want people to tell them it sucks.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
probably the only way they're going to get people to play the game is if they're reviewers and they have to.
right, right. And
Yeah.
I would still give the game a shot. If I got the review copy, I would still, give it a shot. Or if one of you guys wanted to review it, I would still say, put it out there. But, I like that they tried something new. At least they tried something very different. So I appreciate that they did that. And maybe one
Certainly.
day I'll pick it up just on the simple fact that they, trying with a new IP, doing something way different. 1001 Spikes, which I don't know anything about. PlayStation Vita Pets.
That's my total addiction. I've never played. I didn't even know that thing existed till right now.
Yeah.
Vita Pets.
Remember Nintendogs, anyone? Nintendogs?
Yeah, I remember that. I didn't even play
Nintendogs
that.
was awesome. Oh, Nintendogs was the shit.
Was it really?
It was awesome. Yeah, Nintendogs was the shit, actually.
What?
It was actually really good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like owning a Tamagotchi. You don't really talk about it, but
That's fair.
yeah, back in middle school, I had a Tamagotchi that used to get taken away all the time.
Oh, I used to have one of those too. Those were the shit, though. Those were
Yeah,
awesome.
I remember I had one that was like lasted the longest time. Then I forgot to feed him one day, and he freaking straight up died. I was so upset. Then I went and played Pogs, and it was all good.
Everything was better.
Everything was better in the '90s. That's
Right.
right. Go home, watch some Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Oh yeah, man.
They can come out with Legends of the Hidden Temple game. Blue
Could be a
Barracuda.
PSN party game.
That's right.
Yeah.
Free on PlayStation Plus.
That would be awesome.
That would be. I'd play it.
Yeah. Hyperdimension Neptunia producing I don't fucking know what the hell that is.
Can't even pronounce what you just said.
Hyperdimension Neptunia producing perfection, and I have no idea what that is.
Wow.
Someone in the comment section, someone tell me what the fuck it is. I don't know what the hell.
Tell me what the fuck. Just tell me.
EA Sports UFC.
Which, if I was more vested in the sport, I would pick that up. It looks good.
I had a few people that really were interested in it. I think I'm kind of depressed that they didn't just make a new fight night. They need to make a new fight night. Mm-hmm. I've been harking and flying this flag for 4 or 5 years now. Fight night was awesome, and I'm a boxing fan. But even when I wasn't a boxing fan back in the late '90s, mm-hmm. I think it was Fight Kings, or it wasn't Fight Night. It was like EA Sports something Kings in the title.
Yeah,
but even when I wasn't, those boxing games are just so much fun, and from what I understand, I got a couple of my friends got it up in Canada, and they were really excited for it. They were flipping out about it, and they just said it's just kind of it's really bare, especially for an EA Sports game. There's just not a whole lot of depth to it. They said the fights are pretty cool. The fighting system's pretty neat, but that it lacks power. So I guess you can from what they were telling me, you can jack people in the face with a super move and then just shrug it off like it's nothing. And they just said it's just kind of flat. So I was surprised to hear about that, especially with the funds and everything that went behind developing that title. But then again, it is EA. I'm not really surprised at it.
Yeah.
Maybe they rushed it out. Maybe they didn't allow them to get more features in.
Right.
That's my initial guess, because I'm not trying to go back to Battlefield 4. This has been with a lot of their titles. So I don't know how they could put that much money into the development of the game and have it come out with such a basic lack of features, But, who knows? That's all I really know about it. I haven't played it myself, but, that's some of the feedback I got from some buddies that have it.
I have conflicting thoughts about EA, man, because, these are the guys who have ownership over the Mass Effect series, Battlefront, which is finally getting a new game. They have ownership over Dragon Age, which is, revered by many as a great series, especially the first one. And Inquisition looks amazing.
Yeah.
And they have these great IPs, and I haven't been a supporter of their sports games in a long time, and I'm so conflicted with EA, because I know they're as a company, they're just like an asshole company.
Biggest assholes on the planet.
Yeah.
Their logo needs to have the devil horns on it because they're just yeah. I don't really have any conflicting thoughts about them as much. I just think that they're assholes through
That's
and
fair.
through. Even with the great games that are out there, I still feel like they ride the coattails of like other people's hard work.
Mm.
They can slap their name on the Mass Effect box, but I don't feel like they were directly responsible for it being as awesome of a series or franchise as it was. I just feel like they're in a position because they have so much money to just, slap their name on the box and earn even more money. I just can't stand them. Like, I can't even stand talking about them. Piss me off so much about so many different things.
Mm-hmm.
They're corrupt as hell. I mean, they're straight up corrupt as hell. And it's not just because they were voted the worst company in America 3 years in a row. There's so many horror stories, and they're kind of like Walmart in that they're constantly in class action lawsuits that they just make because they have so much money that it's like they're just like, whatever, like we can still partake in our shady business practices, and because they literally, out of all even publishers or developers or anything in the video game world, when I think about the people that give the least shits about their fan base or their gamers or even the medium itself, instantly it's that the people that pop into my mind is EA. I don't think they care about really anything.
Yeah.
Whatever they can get away with making an extra buck. If that's taking away features that were previously free and then charging for them, they'll do that. If it's whatever it is, I hate them. The passion of a million burns.
Of 1,000 burning suns.
Yes. Oh, I'm so mad.
Yeah, I'm with you on a lot of that, man. MotoGP came out,
which I heard was in Europe, not North America yet.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm hearing some good things about it already. That we finally have a good racing game on PlayStation. That was one thing I heard.
That's good.
And I haven't seen like a motorcycle game in a while. So even if it's professional, I'd like to see it and try it out. But I'm hearing some initial good things.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm really glad that I didn't know it was released in even Europe. I didn't even know that it was going to be released this year.
Snuck in there.
It'd be pretty cool if they rebooted Road Rash. I would love to see a full-on.
They are.
Really?
It's
serious.
It's a game called, I think it's like Road Redemption.
Oh yeah, it is they're calling it something different.
Was it like but it's successor to Road Rash?
It's exactly what you think it is, though.
It's a Kickstarter, right?
God, really?
Yeah, and I keep getting like progress updates on it, and each time I see it, I'm like, "Oh, it looks good! It looks good!"
That's awesome. Oh man, I saw my.
See if I can find it.
That's awesome. I saw my copy of the original Road Rash for just PlayStation. In the big long box with the foam on the inside, the game was the shit. Used to ramp off Amish people's head in Lancaster, PA, while playing the game from Lancaster, PA. It was like that game was so awesome, man.
Yeah,
loved it.
Yeah, it's Road Redemption. It's technically the spiritual successor to Road Rash.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm so happy now.
And Entwined released right when E3 was going on.
Yes, that day.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm thinking about picking it up or seeing if I can get a review copy for one of you guys or something.
Matthew liked it. He played it and beat it.
Is that the Untitled?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was out already.
Yeah, it came out on like the day E3, the Sony's press conference. They're like, "Oh, by the way, there's this game called Entwined that's out now." Like, holy shit, that's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, that's actually pretty good timing.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So we can move right into the gaming news. We already talked about Destiny since that was in my gaming, what you're playing type of thing. But yeah, there was an exclusive alpha that launched on PS4, and then there's a beta coming July 17th, I think. So everyone at home, make sure you are ready for that and you guys, of course, make sure you are ready for that because we got to get on that and play that. It's good.
Destiny?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'm down.
Yeah. Apparently Dead Rising is getting a movie for some reason.
Yeah.
So
that's Last of Us.
Well, all right. I can understand The Last of Us getting a movie. It doesn't need a movie at all, but I can understand some people who don't like playing games can still enjoy Last of Us content. Right, fine. Dead
Yeah, I
Rising.
guess. I don't know. I think they're gonna fuck it up.
Oh, I absolutely think they're gonna fuck it up.
I'm more partial to people making like a zombie movie based off a Dead Rising game than somebody taking a masterpiece. Even though I do still think that it is a masterpiece, it's still overrated.
Mm-hmm.
But being a masterpiece as it is, I don't know what they're thinking putting that into a film. But I don't know why Dead Rising is getting a film either. Why not Left 4 Dead? You know,
yeah, right. That makes a lot more sense.
Like what made them choose Dead Rising? You know, I don't know.
Maybe they want to incorporate comedy.
They might. They have to. I mean, can you imagine them trying to make a dead serious Dead Rising movie?
I think that in itself would be funny.
It would be comical for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I will say this though: the Splinter Cell movie, I'm 1,010% behind because apparently Tom Hardy is going to be playing Sam Fisher and helping write the script, which is like Tom Hardy's one of the best. He's like one of my favorite actors. He's one of the absolute best actors, period, ever to have ever lived or breathed there.
That's awesome.
It's pretty sweet, dude.
Yeah, I remember someone made like a fan film based off of Splinter Cell, and it wasn't Sam Fisher. It was like a different operative who was in the fifth echelon or whatever. And like while they were going through the reform, he was being sought out by. It was a really cool thing, and I had it on the Black Only Facebook page for a while. You guys at home, make sure you're watching and liking the Facebook page, the Black Only Facebook page. Plug. But yeah, I posted it on there, and it seemed to get a pretty good amount of attention. It was really cool and well done. So.
Check that out.
The fact that like there's so many people, fan made films that are based off of these IPs. Like I saw one for Fallout, New Vegas a while back that was really well done, and I was just like, this is like Hollywood is slacking. Like this is where it's at right here.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're approving shit like Norbit 3, and there are 3 Big Mama's House movies. That's all I have to say.
There's a demographic for everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Tyler Perry.
Yeah, Tyler Perry movies. He doesn't make terrible movies. They're just not.
He does.
They're just not any different.
He's got
than
his
the last
audience,
ones.
but it's not me. Yeah. I am not a Tyler Perry fan at all.
I mean, I just feel like a lot of his movies are just the same. It's the same shit every time he makes a movie.
I mean, Hollywood's. Then when they do get their hands on something promising, they tend to just
fuck it all up.
Fuck it up, yeah.
Metal Gear is supposed to be getting a movie, even though it doesn't need one.
They've been saying that for 10 years. I'll believe it when I see it.
Well,
goes for Uncharted and Gears.
I'm kind of hopeful that of the Metal Gear one, if it's taking them long to really put this together, and like if they are actually putting attention towards it and not just like putting it on the back burner because they have other shit going on.
Well, I know Christian Bale talked about it. I don't know if you guys ever saw his quote about it, but
Metal Gear.
Because he was. He said in an interview, I think a year and a half or 2 years ago, he said, they brought up something about Metal Gear, and he said he would love to play a character with like a blue headband, and he like blinked when he said it. So at the time, people were freaking out because they thought Christian Bale was going to be cast as Snake, which I'd be on board with because Christian Bale is such an amazing actor. He could do any character, and he's a method actor, so I think he could really get into the right mindset. Plus, people would go see it. Because
it's Christian Bale.
And so I think it could get, if it's done right, it could be, it has a lot of potential. But since then, I mean, they've talked about Viggo Mortensen and a couple different people, but I haven't heard really anything in a few years on the movie. But I'd be all for a Metal Gear movie.
As long as they don't rush it. The problem with movies is that you have to fit so much shit into an hour and a half. As long as they just focus on character development.
I mean, I don't understand why Hollywood doesn't. They see that these games have huge followings. I know, for instance, Assassin's Creed got a movie. But they need to stop trying to fit everything into 1 hour and a half, 2 hour film and just make it a trilogy. Right. You make more money. You can develop a new IP, at least in the sense that, in the movie space. But the film space. I'm kind of...
You could even... Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying... But at the same time, I'm so cautious about every freaking video game that comes out because I can't think of one that was actually good. Silent Hill was okay.
Silent Hill, the first one, not the second one.
I didn't see the second.
I did.
but solid. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Um, it's like everything that Uwe Boll's done has been shit.
Oh my god, that guy needs to never touch a pen, computer, camera, anything involving making movies. Never a fucking again. Just no. Just no.
Prince of Persia kind of sucked.
I didn't see
Hitman kind of sucked.
I appreciate it though. I mean, I didn't love it at all, but I think they at least
It was
put
all right.
I mean, but David was there when we went and saw Max Payne in theaters. My ass left my chair 3 times to walk out of the theater, and every time I was getting up to leave, someone else from the theater in our row was like trying to get out to go to the bathroom, and I had to keep sitting back down, so I just sat through it. But it's like the only movie I can think of ever that I've literally been like, I'm about to walk out. So I was so disgusted with what they did with Max Payne.
Max Payne was terrible.
It was beyond, and especially with how they bastardized the first game's story, and they added their own terrible. Oh, it was just terrible.
Didn't Uwe Boll direct that one as well?
I don't think he did that one.
No, he didn't.
Okay,
but it was just.
I'd like to give him credit for that.
Yeah. Either way, he's terrible.
Yeah. There's actually one movie by him that I didn't think was bad at all. I actually thought was decent. I told David to watch it. It's pretty disturbing, though. I'm trying to remember the name of it. The guy goes on a massacre.
Postal.
Yes.
Well, that's based on a game that's just absurd anyway. It doesn't really have a real story.
Yeah, but the movie itself was actually pretty damn good, and I didn't know Uwe Boll directed it. So when I saw it, I was like, "Wow, this movie's pretty solid." Who was it? And I wanted to vomit, but it wasn't. It wasn't
See,
bad.
I just don't want to watch it because of the fact that he did it.
Yeah.
I can't support that guy.
I can understand that, but every blind squirrel's going to find a nut every once in a while. You can accidentally, and that's what Postal. That's what Postal is.
I'm sorry, I never heard that expression before. Fucking awesome.
Every once in a while, a blind squirrel's going to find a nut, and so that movie was his blind squirrel's nut. He accidentally made a somewhat decent film.
Accidentally? I'm sorry, I can't hold it in right now. I can't. I saw. What is that fucking game? Blood Rain. There's a Blood Rain movie, man. It was like, oh my god!
And they had one of my
good movie off of this.
What's her name? Kristana Loken was the main actress in that.
And she's
I
so
thought,
awesome and so hot.
This might be good.
Yeah.
This might be okay. And no, it sucked. And it spawned, I think, 2 or 3 sequels.
I want to know what's in these people, these actors' contracts. I mean, Ben Kingsley was in that movie. Like,
Return to the King or whatever.
Ben Kingsley. Jason Statham was in. Yeah, Jason Statham was in a movie. Like
Jason Statham. Oh, I love that guy.
Oh, I just don't.
Every actor needs money eventually, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, but these are like Ben Kingsley doesn't need money. That guy's like an amazing actor. He's done so many good things, and I mean, he got Gandhi in his movie. I just don't understand it. I just don't understand how he does it. The movie's like 8 hours long, by the way.
Oh my god.
Terrible.
Anyway, moving on from movies because this is
ridiculous.
First of all, I'm glad we're all in the same thinking here, and I'm pretty sure pretty much most of the internet is as well about video game movies. Hopefully, we will see good video game movies because we've been seeing great comic book movies for a long time now. So maybe this is our time.
Well, before you move on, I just got to say we need to start petitioning for a Cable film, the character Cable from X-Men.
Okay, all right.
I just want to throw that out there because I would love to see Cable even just appear in a film, but he deserves his own film.
Because he's both Scott and Jean Grey's son, right?
Yes, and he also starts an entire comic book series on his own because
with Deadpool.
Yes, and what he does is he was trying to assassinate Magneto, and he accidentally assassinates Xavier.
Oh no!
And then Magneto is like really affected by it and becomes the leader of the X-Men.
What the fuck?
It starts a whole new comic series. Cable's awesome, man. He's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see that at some point. So
that would be pretty cool.
It'd be awesome. There's so many good characters they could do. They could do films on, but that's neither here nor there. I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's legit. It's fair. It's fair.
Fuck it.
So I think we could talk on this a little bit because both Project Cars and Uncharted 4 are both games coming to next gen, and both will be on PS4. Project Cars will be on Xbox One as well. But these games are showing off, I think, some real next gen horsepower. Do you think that games will continue looking even better than that, or do you think we've kind of hit a threshold because now developers have the tool set to make games look really great? Like, do you think games will be looking much better than that in the future?
Yes.
Okay.
Instant yes. We're what? We're not even a year in.
Yeah.
Not even a year in this console cycle yet. And we saw games coming out, 6, 7 years after the PS3 came out that blew us the hell away.
A big part of that was because of all that potential was locked behind the complexity of the infrastructure. I think now that developers will always find ways to optimize things certain ways. So I think
exactly. Yeah. And now that it's easier, it's not as hard as it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we're already seeing some of the fruits of that labor. Oh yeah, I would bet that we'll continue to see more cool shit.
Yeah, I think 1,010%. I'm in agreement with you there. I think that there's always going to be those developers out there. They're going to take the current technology they have and continue to push it to its limits because, you look at some of the last gen technology, it still wasn't completely, totally 100% capacity pushed to its limits. Mm-hmm. It scares me actually a little bit of how awesome we're seeing things, and we're only a year, less than a year into the development cycle of these new consoles. Mm-hmm. In the next however many years before the next console is released, it's going to have even better technology. I think it just relates back to technology is going to continue to advance. It's going to keep getting better. People are going to continue to be able to make things more realistic. I don't know if there's ever going to be a point where, I think even now we're starting to get to a point where, I'm telling you, man, in that NBA game, there are times where it's like they look like real people. I think at some point,
K15 this fall.
Yes.
K15 in October, man.
Wait, so when 2K15 comes out, is 2K14's online servers not going to be working anymore?
No, they'll still be up for a while. They'll still be up. Yeah, they'll support them. Although I know EA, this isn't EA, but I know if it was an EA title, it might not be supported for more than a couple months. I'm not sure about that, but I just know that they shut down all kinds of stuff. But no, they should still be supporting because they get new. They actually get new data centers that run games off their other servers, so they don't have to really worry about using the same resources for multiple titles. They'll actually provision their resources differently. But
that's nice.
Yeah, it is. So I think that they'll probably lower the amount of maintenance, because obviously they will have a new priority, but you'll still be able to play your older games. I would assume in a couple of years they go offline. Like, you couldn't go back, I don't think, and play NHL 09 anymore. It's my guess, but
probably not.
I think they'll still support it for another couple years. We'll have to see. I don't even know what they're going to do with 2K15 from a graphical perspective, though. I mean, it's just.
I'm excited to see what they'll do.
It'll be awesome, yeah.
Because again,
you'll be able to see all their pores. Be able to see the sweat actually emerging from their pores. So
you actually see the sweat drip from their balls down their legs.
In NBA 2K15, watch Swamp Ass appear on your page.
Real Swamp Ass.
Oh man,
the physics are unreal.
Yeah, wow, I'm disturbed.
I don't know if you guys heard the news. Of course, with GTA 5 coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, with you being able to bring your character from the Xbox 360 and PS3 to the PS4 version, which I would love to know more about if the Xbox One will be able to do that as well. But I'll preface this for anyone who doesn't know already the whole situation with Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, right. Online came out, they came out with the game, single player and then multiplayer. And multiplayer didn't work pretty much for like the first month. which was a similar situation with Battlefield, except this was a month and then they kind of like fixed shit and then now it started working, kind of. And they promised this feature for the game before it was launched called heists, which one of the big things about Grand Theft Auto single player is that you can organize and execute heists, which tickles so many people's pickles.
So awesome.
So many pickles. And it's an interesting idea to be able to like plan out something and conceptualize it and then like play through it and actually do all that stuff, like the getaway plan, getting there in the first place, whether or not you're going to be silent or whether you're going to just go in guns blazing, how you're going to deal with the cops, then having getaway locations, like all this other shit, and then like divvying up the cash between that. We're still waiting on this feature to be integrated into multiplayer. It is still not here. The game came out. Was it last September?
I think it was last September. No, it wasn't November. I think it was last September or October.
It was one of those. All right. I think it was September.
It was September, October, because the multiplayer came out
later.
2 weeks or a little bit after the game was released.
Mm-hmm. And
I want to say end of October.
Sure the servers could take all the people playing on it, and they still couldn't.
Because they couldn't. They weren't ready.
September 17th.
Yeah. So... we talked about this with Battlefield.
Ugh.
We talked about this with Grand Theft Auto, and it's one of those things where you're seeing developers just struggling to keep up with the promise of what they're doing. And I feel like publishers should never have anything to do with what developers say will be in their game.
It's a thin line, though. I mean, they're still a big part of the reason we get to play the game in the first place. But if the dev says we need more time, or this isn't ready yet, or it's going to flop, or this isn't our final product, this isn't our vision, they need the time to do it right. They need that. And I don't know. It frustrates me.
Mm-hmm. That's why publishers should keep their mouths shut and let the developers do what they do best and put out their product, talk about their product,
I think the power structure should be reversed. I think the developers should set their own release dates. I think the developers should be the ones that come up with the speaking points to what their game's going to include. Mm-hmm. And yes, the publishers should deal with marketing, but they should be getting the feedback directly from the developers, and the developers should have the power to, again, set their own release dates. They should have the power to, tell the publishers what to develop their marketing materials around. I hate the position in the hierarchy right now between publishers and developers. It screws everything up, sets the wrong expectations, and then you have issues, issues that crop up constantly from, before the game's released to then the game, when the game is released and on into the future. It's just like there's always constantly. It's almost like you have to compromise. A great example is Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2. Alien Colonial Marines.
Yep.
Now the Division.
Yep.
It's so you're right, Dave. It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
I get so tired of hearing about it. I'll say this though, at least with the Division, when they just recently said they're downgrading stuff, at least they're telling us now. At least we're not getting the game.
Kind of.
Not really.
That was a leaked statement. That wasn't an official statement from them.
Point. Yeah.
It's not the company coming forward. It's someone that's like us that works there. And he's actually speaking up saying, like, hey, like, people deserve to know this.
Yep.
Because it's not going to be like this when it comes out.
I didn't realize that. I skimmed through the article, and when I saw it, I thought it was them saying it. So that's different then. When I popped in Dark Souls 2, I was like, what is this? I took a picture, and I sent it to you, David, of the cat.
Yeah,
I saw that too, yeah.
I remember.
and then like they literally stripped the entire game from top to bottom. It looks like I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like a last gen game. That's how bad it is. Mm-hmm. And their whole new lighting system they showed off at E3, completely gone, non-existent. I think it's available on the PC, but I saw some of the PC version of it, and it still doesn't look very good at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they totally gutted it. And, I was laughing last night because I was talking to my fiance, about how I'm playing Final Fantasy X and the clouds move. And she's like, why are you laughing? I'm like, because Dark Souls 2, the clouds don't even move. It's like, and it takes you out of the experience. And I'm like
That's
playing a game
funny.
that came out in 2001,
Yeah.
and like it looked better than Dark Souls 2. I mean, yes, it's the HD remake, but still, I know from experience that the clouds moved in the original too.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, yeah, it's become, for me, it's starting to become a worrying trend where, you know, publishers and developers will show off their games in one certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Watchdogs, to an extent, was that, from what I understand, was
Yep.
the same way.
Yeah.
And then the game comes out, and it's just been, it's like totally different than what they showed, and in a lot of instances, what they promised. And so it's definitely become it's becoming something to worry about, in my opinion. You know, but yeah, I didn't know. I thought that was the company saying that. I didn't know it was someone from within the company talking about that. So that is, you know, totally different.
Yeah.
As far as the division,
It's a problem. I think publishers have a really hard time understanding the concept of transparency.
yeah,
It's kind of necessary. And that actually ties in. I didn't realize that we were talking about that part of the hot topic as well. I mean, it's that was a perfect segue because we were talking about that. It's like what I'm really glad that this happened. I'm hoping that maybe we'll get more leaks in the future so that people
right.
can be aware of kind of like what the state of the situation. And like, I really love when companies do those dev diaries type of things where they talk about like the game being developed and like what they're working on. So like, you know, during Nintendo's E3 press conference, they had a lot of that. And Microsoft had a few of those as well. And Sony has been known to do that for their press conferences as well. But in terms of like the companies themselves doing that for their products and kind of like advertising that as like, hey, this is our dev diary. This is like what's going on in our process. I think one of the reasons why I like Warframe so much is that they do that, but they have it like live streamed as well, so people can give them input. And so they always talk about what they're working on and what new things that they're implementing in the game with their new biggest update. And they always, like with each update, they always have a dev diary that goes along with it. It's like, you know, we're opening up our process to the people playing our game.
That's awesome. That's how Final Fantasy 14 is too. They're very transparent with what they're doing, and
Yeah.
that's the way it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's absolutely the way it should be. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors. To be honest with you, I think that this medium's fan base gets taken advantage of a lot more than, you know, than they should be.
Oh, they also act spoiled too.
Yeah.
A lot of our gamer brethren are way entitled and that we need to have all of this, and they set the bar like way up here, like when the bar's already up here, and it's
but I feel,
not all.
No, I agree with you. I feel but I think that's the more the minority than the majority. I think it's just that like the minority get the most, you know, attention
because they're so vocal, right?
It's kind of like in the NFL. Whenever there's like someone who's busted for a drug bust, or in Aaron Hernandez's case, like triple murder,
right.
You know, you see, you know, constantly in the NFL headlines, all you see are like all the players that are in trouble, but they represent such a small percentage of the overall whole.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is not to that extent, but I think that it's a minority of gamers that act that way. But I think that unfortunately they get a lot of the attention because they are spoiled freaking brats.
Yeah.
Drive me crazy. Plus, anyone can say whatever they want from behind a keyboard, you know, or anonymously on a mic playing Call of Duty, you know. Throwing out this thing that still bothers me is all the like racist stuff people throw out, and people are totally different people behind a microphone. It's terrible. It's horrible. Yeah. And so I think that that's something they need to. I will say this: they've been coming up with some creative ways to get rid of those people. Like what GTA 5 did was, if you were like being really offensive like that, or if you were just being an asshole or a dick in game, they would separate you and isolate your server and just flood it with other people like you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You were actually separated from the main community, and they also made you wear dunce hats, where it was like a party hat that just said dunce.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was really creative. So pretty interesting seeing some attempts at mitigating those things.
Yeah, that's really actually smart. I'd been saying for a while now that people who abuse the system or cheat or, you know, are perceived as being, you know, poor sports should be paired up with people like that.
Yeah.
So, good on you, Rockstar. Good on you.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Rockstar's good people.
For the most part, aside from the whole lying about, you know,
Grand Theft
Yeah,
Auto.
yeah.
I still support them, but
Yeah.
um, it's all right. Whatever.
Yep. We're at that point now where it's like I expect it now. Like I fully
Yeah, it's like I
expect
just don't care. I just don't.
it.
I do. You guys all know that. I don't have to
Yeah.
rant about it, honestly. Just look at some of my Facebook posts. It's all.
And then the last gaming news I guess we can talk about before we move on to our hot topics is the PS4 worldwide, or I think in the US. I have to look at this link again. Has outsold the Xbox One for a fifth straight month in North America, actually. So this is in North America alone, and I find that really interesting. I mean, I'm not personally surprised from my perspective, but we have a lot of Xbox loyalty in the US, a lot,
Mhm.
and so that's why I'm surprised.
Yeah, I think on my end, I mean, from what I understand, there were just droves of 360 players that are buying PlayStation 4.
Mm.
Um, and I think there are a lot of different reasons for that, but I think that Microsoft is still feeling the effects of getting way too greedy, getting way too restrictive
Mm-hmm.
with their original policies, and then completely doing a 180 on all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they lost a lot of respect in the gaming community when they did that, and they're not helping their case when their system can't even upscale most games to 1080p.
Right.
I mean, they're continuing to struggle because there are a lot of people out there that are very focused on the technical specs. What can this system do against the other system?
Mm-hmm.
And consistently, Xbox One is having trouble matching PlayStation 4's, even from a resolution standpoint. So I think a lot of people are aware of that. I think going into this console release, because it had been so long since the last release. I mean, what was this last generation? 8 years?
Yes,
7, 8
7 to 8
years?
years, depending on
So
which console you get. Yeah.
there was, I think, as a result of that, there was a lot more attention being paid to what these next consoles were going to offer. And so they were really under the spotlight when they, like I said, came out with these policies, tried to get greedy. And, I think now people are still, looking at the games and in general, the games that are multi-platform thus far, this, it's very young into the cycle,
Mm-hmm.
but the better experiences right now just belong on PlayStation 4, and the tech is better, and the exclusive games that are coming to PS4, just like last generation and the generation before, they just look like they've got a stranglehold already on the exclusive side of things too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of a mixture of all of these things. I'm not surprised at all.
Mm.
I know that Xbox and Microsoft does a really good job of advertising.
Absolutely.
They do a great job of advertising, and even, David showed me his Xbox a couple of weeks ago. We were partying, and I was like, I thought it was really, really, really cool. Actually, what I saw, I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it to be so cool, but I just think PlayStation right now is in a better space from not only a technical perspective and the hardware perspective, but for potential and for what they currently offer as well. And I also think Sony right now, they were from day one, it just seems like they care more about the gamer, where they never talked about digital rights management and some of the digs they had at E3 against Microsoft with here's how you share games with your friends.
Yeah.
So they really, I think they really learned their lesson from their poor start to PS3.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems, and then I also PlayStation Plus.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
that's where it's at.
I can't believe how good the service continues to get. The quality games that they offer so much material. I can't keep up with it all, and it's all such good quality material.
Right.
I mean, they just really have built a very great reputation for really caring about their gaming audience, and I really think it's paying off now in this next generation thus far.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a number of things, but that's my thoughts on it.
And I think that they will continue to really push the PS4 because the PlayStation is pretty much their most profitable aspect of Sony, period, right now. Like PlayStation is the money generating service and console for them. So aside from like movies, I guess, because movies would be more so in like music and shit like that. Or maybe I think it was stated that the PlayStation 4 is the strongest part of their business, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I just know they're struggling stock wise right now, and overall they're not doing very well. But I think they'll rebound. I'm actually thinking about buying some of their stock, but
Me too.
slow. It's going to come back. They're going to bounce back. They're too big of a
They
conglomerate.
and again, Ken Kutaragi has only been on the job for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it's a short period of time.
And within that time frame, he's already seen improvements, not only in Sony overall, but like the PlayStation division.
Oh, yeah.
He's been head of the PlayStation division, and that's one of the reasons why we have such great experiences on PlayStation. Is because he coupled with a bunch of other people. Mark Cerny, for example, I love that guy. They have been some of the biggest reasons why the PlayStation 4 has been so great, and the later years for PlayStation 3 have been so phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I don't see that changing anytime soon. But what are your thoughts over there, Davey?
No, it's already been said. It's pretty much the same thing that you guys are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you using your Xbox One right now for the Skype?
Yes.
Nice. Wanted to throw that out there because that is a pretty cool feature. I'm sure you. I don't know if you could do that with and pop. Wow. Contrary to popular belief, I don't hate. Just on general principle, the Xbox One console, I hate the company behind it, a lot of the times. But, I think that they've done a really good job in certain areas. I think that they'll catch up. I think they've already started catching up a little bit, but I don't see them being strong enough to, for Sony to relinquish their hold on sales overall. I just think that they're steamroll
I guess
sales.
the other thing I would add to that is because it was like a year ago where Microsoft totally fucked themselves in the ass.
Yeah.
And then Sony won. And
tell us how you really feel.
It's just the way it was, man. Everyone saw it. Everyone heard what they said, and many people left or were forced to leave.
Right.
But fast forward a year, and after this E3, I still think they had one of the better press conferences because they just straight up showed games. They didn't bullshit. We didn't see a single graph or pie chart or Venn diagram. Like, none of that. No, we just saw games the whole way. So I'll give a little bit more time. Right now, Sony has an easy lead, but Microsoft's not done.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. No, definitely not.
It's going to be a marathon, as they keep saying. It's definitely going to be a marathon. It's not going to be a sprint, but definitely Sony is even after that last press conference Sony had, which wasn't really that strong until certain games were shown.
Yeah, shown.
I would give Microsoft the edge over PlayStation when it comes to the press conference.
Definitely. Not even a question in my mind. And
yeah.
Here's E3.
But Nintendo also did really awesome things for their press conference, and they had a very different press conference. It was very much focused on the relationship with the developers and the new games that they were announcing and new features and stuff like that. And I think the way that they handled the E3 this year was really cool. They didn't have to be on stage, didn't have to do any presentation stuff like that. It was just a video. It was good.
It's smart.
Yeah,
it's definitely smart because you can really control that a lot more, and it also takes away a lot of the difficulties that come with a live stage presentation, for sure. I wouldn't say that Sony's press conference this year was ass, but I think it was butt.
Yeah,
I do think it's kind of butt. It was the worst Sony conference I've seen in a few years.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there wasn't some good stuff they revealed, because obviously I think that, the Uncharted 4 was one of the best reveals of the whole show. I mean, which,
they didn't show much.
They didn't have to.
They didn't need to.
Yeah.
They didn't. They really didn't.
And and I know that what they were showing was running on a PlayStation 4, which was enough for me.
Right.
And but I think it was just very by the numbers. I think they really they fumbled the football on so many different things. I was just looking for someone to get the cane for the guy that was talking about the Powers TV show. I was like, someone yank him off stage.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. I'm sorry. Who cares?
Just mention it. Talk about it for a fucking paragraph worth of sentences, and then that's it. Just get off the stage. That's all people need to know. Same thing with the numbers, with all the other shit. Guys, I understand that you have this really cool stuff coming. Talk to me a little bit about Morpheus. I want to hear about that.
Which we didn't hear anything on, really.
Barely anything. So I'm like, what are they doing?
I love their bit about how revolutionary the PlayStation camera was, and
they didn't say anything about it.
25%. They're like, PlayStation camera is revolutionary, and it's going to continue to bring the best experiences to gamers.
Like what?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a PlayStation camera, and they haven't done anything with it right now other than the Playroom. I mean,
They said they're adding new stuff to the Playroom, which is great.
Yeah, but I don't have a camera eye just for the Playroom. I mean, like I want it to, I want it to be better supported, but it's still early, so they could. But what really got me on my nerves about them was their huge announcements: "The Last of Us is coming to next gen," and they act like they're announcing the game for the first time, and it's like, dude, they made such a big deal about it. I could see the vein in the guy's neck, like flipping out about it. Yeah, and they did the same thing with GTA 5, and I'm like, like they treated them like they were some of their biggest reveals, and I almost felt like they should just mention that in passing and show them their logos, But I don't know. I really thought Xbox, even though a lot of the games they show were going to be cross-platform and probably
better on PlayStation
4.
Not all were cross.
Not all.
We finally had some good first-party exclusives too.
Yeah.
Like I saw Ori and the Blind Forest, this indie title I'd never heard of before.
I love that presentation that they had for that.
That was good.
That was really great.
That was good.
That's like a new game, new IP. I was like, wow, this looks fucking cool. And it like you could just feel the emotion in that trailer. Very reminiscent of like your Journey days.
Yeah.
It was something special.
Mm-hmm.
Or even Sunset Overdrive. That looks like a lot of crazy, chaotic fun, too.
They already announced that a while ago, so to be fair...
They did, but I got to see it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm still waiting for someone to announce either the spiritual successor or the direct sequel to Braid. If Braid 2 or the spiritual successor to Braid were to come exclusively to Xbox One, I would get an Xbox One for it. Nice. That's how much I loved Braid. Awesome. Braid's one of my favorite games of all time, actually. Ever. I don't know if you guys
tell me about that. Yeah.
Oh my god, that game is so good, and so many I can't even talk about. But I don't know. I just felt like this year's E3 overall was fairly weak around the board. I think Microsoft hands down won. I think they did a great job. I mean, I was really impressed with their press conference. But and by the way, just to speak to David's point about people being entitled dumb bitches, and I have to agree 1,010% on this particular point. You had people that were complaining and bitching and moaning that all they showed was games this year and Microsoft's press conference.
That was their complaint that they didn't do last year.
That's exactly right. Last year it wasn't like TV. Like their conference last year was so bad, and this year they did a 180. They knocked it out of the ballpark, and people were like, "Well, all you talked about were games." Shut up! Shut up! Yep. But yeah, no, I just didn't see anything that I really wanted to see this year, other than a couple of small things. No Last Guard. What's that? Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Mortal Kombat's going to be awesome. I'm very excited about that. That's one of the few that I was like flipping out about. Arkham, Uncharted, Evolve looks awesome.
Oh, Evolve! Oh.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed actually looks really fucking cool. I might get that.
Yeah,
I'm going to probably get that too.
Yeah.
4 was great. 4 was amazing.
I didn't buy 4, but Zach has it.
You should get 4. 4.
Zach has it. He's my roommate, so I can just.
It's excellent. It's excellent. But overall, I don't know. There's like for instance, no Red Dead Redemption 2. Still no Fallout announcements. They did show a teaser for Doom, which I was happy about, but didn't really see much else about Doom.
Wasn't no Last supposed to have like a reveal? Didn't they say they had like some reveal that they were doing or some shit like that?
I thought that they were, but they didn't. I don't know if they officially announced that they would. That's what I heard. That's why I was excited about it. But no Final Fantasy 15, no Kingdom Hearts 3. I mean, there were just so many absent titles this year across the board that I don't know. The things I did see, like I was excited to see Mortal Kombat, but at the same time, I knew that was coming. And I pretty much know what to expect from it. It looks very similar to the previous title. It's just going to be on next gen, and it's going to be awesome. And I'm totally fine with that. I love Mortal Kombat. It's my favorite fighting franchise ever and stuff. But I don't know. I don't feel like they did a good job of revealing new things, and a lot of key titles were off the main floor. They just didn't talk about them.
Right.
So it almost kind of, for me, just felt like it came and went, and there was nothing super, amazingly significant that got announced this year. But
Right.
that's just me. I mean, not to say that there weren't great reveals, because there were. I just seemed kind of a timid E3 overall. I don't know if that's just me or not, but that's what I thought.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to the end of the podcast. I wanted to try to keep it around this length.
My goodness, it's almost 3. So,
Right.
sorry, I didn't realize what time it was.
Yeah, no, it's totally fine. I want to ask, of course, you guys if you have any guest topics that you'd like to introduce into the podcast, aside from what we've already discussed.
Pass that over to David while I think about it on my feet.
Like I'm just patiently waiting. That's why I have Metal Gear to distract me for the next few months, and then in October I'm gonna be broke. Like it's
Yeah.
It's not funny how many games are coming out that month that I'm gonna be buying. There's already like 5 or 6 that are definite yeses.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm good.
Very nice.
I'll pass this back over to you, Will.
Okay, excellent. So, quickly, I guess we can talk about No Man's Sky, because I think that's a game that a lot of us overlooked, kind of because they were doing a very short demonstration. But the link that I have in there kind of talked a little bit about how the developers are utilizing a system that is all procedurally generated, and it's all based on like scales and modifiers for each and every aspect. So, like, you can turn a cat into a tiger just by adjusting scales.
What?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so the whole game is centered on that concept. So literally, you can have thousands of combinations of different aspects for the slider set. You can create new creatures, new planets, new environments based on the way trees are generated. Like, it's a game that will constantly be. You'll constantly be exploring things, and like I'm wondering if there's a way that someone can harness that technology to go even further, so that like, well, not even just going further, but like incorporating that in other types of games as well, that are like a fighting game, for example, that has all procedurally generated content. The backgrounds will all be procedurally generated. You know, some of the new characters will just be, generated based off of that and their move sets, and of course, balancing and stuff like that will have to play into that. But like, thinking about how this concept can be applied in other types of different games, like an RPG, like Skyrim, that is,
Gosh,
but it's also online multiplayer. So like,
I think it's too new. I think that this is their baby.
Yeah.
This is technology we haven't seen before, because I read that whole
fuck
thing.
are they doing that?
There was a long article explaining how they're doing it, and it's never been done before. Like, I don't know how or if it could work in other games.
I know, that's the thing. Like, of course, again, it's new and it's something that hasn't been done anywhere else. But like, the fact that a small indie team was able to push something like this out,
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy the game just on principle.
when's it coming out?
I can tell you in just a second.
It's not this year, right?
I want to say early to mid next year, especially since they recently had an incident.
Yeah, and they got to develop. They got to
studio.
deliver. Yeah, they got to deliver on what their ambition is, though. Too.
That's also true. Yeah.
They will have to see if they can deliver on it. But yeah, I didn't know what I was watching at E3. I was like, "What is this? Is this Wing Commander? Is this?" I didn't know what it was. It looked unique and different, but I didn't really pay too much attention to it.
Right. And same here. I was like, all right, this looks pretty cool. Like, I like, it's got like a interesting art style.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's super vibrant and bright. Even like the snow level, for example, is like, there's a lot of like purples and oranges in here. I can just.
It fucking dinosaurs in it too.
And dinosaurs, dude. Like, what else do you fucking need? But I wonder, like, what you actually do to interact with them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, can you shoot the dinosaurs? Can you ride the dinosaurs?
Can you hide narcotics and fruit up the dinosaur's rectum? If you really want true freedom, you've got to put it in that feature.
Can you have sex with the dinosaur?
Now included bestiality.
Next gen.
Oh man, this indie team's got a lot on their hands. Does look like it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't know when it's coming out. I don't see any release dates around.
I'm guessing next year at the very earliest. It's too new, it's too ambitious, and too not ready. I don't think it's ready yet.
Yeah, yeah, it's gotta. I mean, it's gotta deliver, but it's also gotta like because it's an indie team. I feel like if it's not the best thing since sliced bread, like I think people will still be pretty understanding of it because it's only being developed by a small
Yeah.
10, 15 people team or some shit like that.
If that.
Yeah, so it's like, oh my god, I don't know. It's just a testament to kind of what amazing things can happen when people have the creative freedom to do what they want on a project. And again, this plays back to what we were talking about before about how publishers can sometimes get in the way of what developers are trying to do. We probably could have had a system like this developed a long time ago if it wasn't for that structure, that hierarchy of decision making.
I'm just
Live and learn.
I'm just thinking when you said here's what a team can do with the creative freedom, and I just got really depressed thinking about Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2.
Oh right.
And sometimes you get that.
When
Sometimes
you
you get the opposite of what you want.
when you have like a head of your team that has all of the decision making power, who doesn't know the franchise, and the part does know, he doesn't like, and he makes you make a game with Dracula in like a modern day city. It's so bad, with demons with machine guns.
Yep. Anytime.
Very Resident Evil 6-esque.
Such,
Reminds me of.
well,
Yeah.
especially after such a good first game.
Right. Of course, Lords of Shadow was a really good game. I still haven't finished it though. I have to. That's one of the games on my backlog that I have
That's
to
all right.
finish.
It's because it's like 50 years long. It doesn't know when to end, but it is really good. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only topic I'll have is Bloodborne, which I'm flipping out about. Bloodborne is going to be amazing. It's going to be so good, and
I hope so.
if it's anything like what it appears like it's going to be, I have all the faith in the world. It's going to be phenomenal. Looks like the action's going to be a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
In some of the different Souls games.
Like
I feel kind of burned by Dark Souls too, to be honest with you. I only played through it and beat it once, and I started a second playthrough, and I just was bored out of my mind with it. I don't know. I just think Bloodborne has such, and what's cool is it's a spiritual successor to Demon Souls. You guys familiar with the relationship between the two? And to Sony Let It Go and all that stuff. So I think Bloodborne is going to be amazing. I thought that the reveal was really cool. I love that they showed gameplay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a trailer. Yeah, there was some of that shown before E3 that was leaked or whatever, but I just think that game is going to be great. Do we know if that's exclusive for PlayStation, isn't it?
It is.
It's going to be awesome. It's so awesome. So I want to talk about that. And also, I wanted to tag team with Jay and just tell you, David, you have no idea how awesome Metal Gear Solid 3 is going to be.
I know. It's sitting on pause on Metal Gear Solid 2 right now.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting Metal Gear Rex, 3 of them.
Yep.
And I know it's not the last fucking fight. It can't be.
I'm not going to say anything.
It's killing me. It's killing because I'm almost there. Almost there.
Metal Gear Solid 2 is good. Metal Gear Solid 3 is better.
Metal Gear Solid 3. When you play Metal Gear Solid 3, take your time with it. Yeah. Don't rush through it. Like, call people on your codec. Spend time sneaking. Enjoy the shit out of that game because it's going to be just so amazing for you, dude. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah,
the game has one of the best. The game has one of the best stories and endings ever in a game. It's got some of the best gameplay mechanics too.
I still get teary eyed when I think about the ending of that game.
We can't even talk about it.
I can't.
And he doesn't even
know.
No.
Try here.
He will. Yeah, that Metal Gear Solid E3 demo. Oh my gosh.
I just came again. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That is totally okay. Yeah. And one more guest topic. Hideo Kojima needs to shut his damn mouth. I'm so depressed over it. Shut up, dude.
Wait, what did he say?
He said
about Hideo Kojima being depressed over Grand Theft Auto 5.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he's bitching again. The Grand Theft Auto 5 looks so awesome on PS4, and he's depressed again.
Oh, he's depressed because his game doesn't look.
Well, it's because people are going to draw similarities because his is an open world stealth game, and Grand Theft Auto is like an open world action adventure game, and he doesn't want that word open world and people to be disappointed when they play his product. And
okay.
I don't care. He's just venting, and he's just venting loudly, and people can hear him.
Right. And I understand his position, too, because like when there's games like Grand Theft Auto that arguably has sold in the past more than Metal Gear games have sold, and then like to have some, like one of the saving graces for that would have been like, there aren't as many next-gen, open world games as there were last gen. Now Grand Theft Auto is coming to next gen. It's like, oh, son of a bitch.
Has it sold more than Metal Gear Solid Worldwide? Because I know the first Metal Gear Solid was out before the first Grand Theft Auto.
Right.
It's been around longer. I don't know. We'd have to check the numbers. I'm probably
because Metal Gear had been exclusive for so long too.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's another part of it.
Yeah. Grand Theft Auto was though too.
It was.
It was up through. It wasn't 5 the first multi-release on multiple systems. I don't think 4 was.
4 was a multi-console release, but I think
sure?
Yeah.
4 was on 360.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And then Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out on Xbox One, the original Xbox, a little while after San Andreas came out on PS2.
Right.
So San Andreas was the last one that was exclusive to PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I thought for some reason 4 was only released on PlayStation. It's been a while. It's been 6 years.
It's been a while, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can probably save any of these other topics for the next podcast because there's plenty to talk about here. We could go on for days about Phil Fish. I mean,
legitimately, legitimately,
yeah,
just shoot the shit for ages.
Yeah.
My computer battery's actually dying, and I was supposed to be over the house like an hour ago. So,
well, great time to wrap up the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on to the podcast,
sure,
of course.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Of course. And guys, check out Dave's other site, wdwp.co. Is there any plugs that you'd like to put in, Jordan? Are there any projects that you're working on that you'd like to tell people about? Maybe some things cooking up with Sony or something? I don't know.
No, Microsoft, not right now. Maybe for I will say this, that David wrote an awesome article about his impressions on E3 on his website. So I would totally check that out. And then as always, check out Jay's stuff because, Jay's been doing Black Oni for a long time. I've been a big fan for many years, and not just his video game stuff, but his art is phenomenal. Wolverine is amazing.
I'm doing a new version of that one too.
Oh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited. But if you watch the podcast, check that stuff out and support these guys. And for me, just listen to me bitch and whine every time I'm on the podcast, and I'm good.
Yes. And hopefully we'll have some more gameplay sessions with all of us playing together.
We need to have another. I think it's about that time to have another drinking podcast because I wasn't on the last time.
That was fucking hilarious.
Months, David, you need to make sure your connection is stable.
Works now that we got connect, we're all right. But man, I need to be careful if we do one of those.
That was fucking hilarious.
maybe, David, I'll come over there and we'll drink and we'll be on the same
We can just be doing like shots next to each other right here.
Oh,
all right.
Do that.
Yes.
Dude,
anyway,
nice shirt, dude. I didn't realize you were wearing a Songbird shirt. That's epic.
Got this from the last party that Irrational Games had before they dissembled, and my boy was working there.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
The whole time. That's an awesome shirt, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's sick. That's seriously sick. I'm like foaming at the mouth. That's awesome.
Is it showing up backwards for you, or is it?
No, it's coming out just right.
Okay, for me it's like reverse, so whatever.
Awesome, man.
Anyway,
yeah.